Hey, good morning, my dear friends, and welcome to beautiful Surfside, California. There's a lot of activity going on here. As you can see, the sand replenishment continues here in areas of Southern California. This is Surfside. We're sandwiched between Seal Beach, California, and Huntington Beach. And man, huge undertakings here. You can see all the birds here because they are pulling sand from offshore and putting it on the beach. And of course, when that sand comes in here, there's clams and there's mussels and there's all kinds of creatures that these birds are taking advantage of. It's really quite a sight down here with a gorgeous sunrise this beautiful morning. I hope you had a great MLK Day yesterday, and this Tuesday morning promises to be a great one. We have got so much to cover with you. I highly recommend you go back and watch the Andy Cates Red Rooster 3 video. Wait a minute. I'll just tag it on to the end of the report. If you didn't catch Andy, he came to us live yesterday from the Red Rooster 3, passing by Cedros Island. It's a great one. There's alarms going off. Andy's talking about his great Riviera cruises. He talks to you about Hurricane Bank and the really awesome Dorado bite they had. It'll be at the end of the report. Catch Andy Cates right here on the morning briefing this morning. I'll make it easy for you all. Don't forget Fred Hall, the Bart Hall Show. Pardon me, man. The Bart Hall Show is coming up January 25th through the 28th. It's going to be a great one. Meet the guys from the Independence there. I'll be wandering around. Sam De La Torre has a huge booth from Island Fishing Tackle January 25th through the 28th, Long Beach Convention Center. You're not going to want to miss that. And also, we're going to cover some outstanding surf fishing. We've seen magnificent halibut fishing on the Aloha Spirit up in the Channel Islands. It's been really a great signal so far this year on the halibut, and I think you're only going to see more of it as 2024 goes along. You know what time it is. It's time for the morning briefing. Good morning, my friends. Oh, it's so nice to get a good night's sleep. I was really running on empty yesterday. Drove up from Mexico, and we put in a full day. Greg Bates and I down there. We covered a lot, did a lot. It was so good to see my dear friend Diego Nuno and go to El Zorrillo, a little barrio, very poor barrio, and we handed out clothing and some funds and everything else. More on that as today plays out. I'll be bringing you up to date on that. Man, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, I would deeply appreciate it. Thank you so much if you could do that. Share this video with a friend. Also, tick the bell. You'll be notified when there's new content, and subscribe down below to the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel, almost 12,000 subscribers now, and we keep growing with millions of views. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Deeply appreciate all of that. Thank you so very much. Last night, Sam De La Torre, Island Fishing Tackle, and Tackle Shop Confessions, another great show. Go back and listen. Sam, of course, does his usual fine work. It was a great show. A lot of fun spending time with my friend Sam De La Torre. Next Monday, it's kind of up in the air right now. I think we'll probably do a show. I'll con Sam into doing it. He's trying to load up and get ready for the Bart Hall Show, so that is going to be kind of crazy. I'm watching to see that I don't get run over by a tractor. But I think next Monday we'll have another show. This Thursday night, the Danny Cadota Show, live from 22nd Street Landing in beautiful San Pedro, California. All right, let's start down in Cabo San Lucas. Our dear friend Sean Morgan, who is actually in San Jose del Cabo, up from Cabo just a little bit. He says there's still striped marlin around. There's some pretty fair Dorado fishing, at times some good yellowfin tuna fishing, and from time to time you'll catch a skin or two, a couple of wahoo in the counts down there in that area. Also, as we start to move you up the Baja Peninsula, San Quintin is the site, 140 miles below the border, of some really good yellowtail action at times, not every single day, but there is some good yo-yo iron yellowtail action along with copious amounts of rockfish down there. And of course, Punta Colonet is just 20 miles above there. Little town, and San Diego long-range boats, day-and-a-half boats, go down there and fish that on a regular basis during this time of the year. Those trips are going to be starting up. That bodes well, that yellowtail, 20 miles below for some good yellow action there for those day-and-a-half boats when they start rolling. Copious amounts of big lings and rockfish, but I think we may be looking down the barrel of a good yellowtail bite at Collinette. Also, we'll keep our eyes on that. Ensenada, man, I spent some time there here the last few days, and it was so much fun. I want to say hello to Bernice Soto from Juanito's Fishing there, right along the Malecon. Go in there and say hello to Bernice for me. And they have so many great boats. They've got whale watching and so much more. My dear friend Sergio Susare, also down there. Go say hi to Sergio. It was good to see him. And I'll be covering a lot more about the fishing opportunities there in Ensenada with you all. There's still really good big bonita fishing going on, occasional yellowtail, lots of rockfish, some calico bass. Victor from Blackfin Sport Fishing telling us just how good it has been. So that is also very, very good. And hopefully we're going to see more and more of that. Long range fishing, the Independent said, where did our yellowfin go today? They've had really outstanding yellowfin tuna fishing, but for some reason, the fish yesterday said, we're out of here. We're not hungry. In fact, we're going to watch playoff football games instead of goofing off with you guys on the Independent. So the guys went over and caught some wahoo, enjoyed the great games on the wide screen on the Independence and some great food. And that yellowfin will get back on the bite. It's been outstanding for the Independents down there on both wahoo and yellowfin tuna. Same kind of a thing on the Royal Polaris, although the Royal Polaris is headed uphill right now, and they spent their time picking away at some viejas and other species. Viejas are the slang word for sheephead in Spanish, so they spent their time doing that. But the RPs had a fantastic trip on yellowfin and wahoo and so much more. But as I say, they're headed back up the coast, as is the Red Rooster 3 bearing down on San Diego here really, really soon. And I'll tell you, it was great to hear from my friend Andy Cates yesterday. Really, really great to talk to him. And you're going to want to hang on at the end of today's report. You'll be able to check that out. All right. Also going on here, and really, really good stuff. Rock cod season is closed in Southern California. It's open in Mexican waters, so San Diego-based boats can go down into Mexican waters and catch rockfish. But here along the coast, we have seen some spectacular, awesome, great sand and calico bass fishing wintertime. Now, that is not to say that every single person on the boat is going to have their 5-fish limit. But if you pay attention to the crew and you do those things that they're telling you to do, man, you could certainly come away with a 5-fish limit, no question about it. Fluorocarbon, you want to get and use as heavy as possible. 40-pound in a lot of cases because you're fishing structure. But man, sometimes you can't get a bite unless you drop down to something like 20-pound. Michael Limon and his grandpa, Dan Lightfoot, they were on the Monte Carlo yesterday, and they tell me sometimes you got to drop down to that 20-pound. It's really, really, really important. Get a lot of bites by doing that. If you just keep getting sawed off, remember, you can go up to a little bit heavier. And you are fishing a whole fresh dead or live squid. And man, those fish, in most cases, will bite a little bit heavier line. 25-pound may be the intermediate where you want to fish. And again, when you get a bite, man, you turn the handle and get some string on those things, or they're going to run you right back in to a crevice or a rock, and you are going to be in serious trouble. So some pretty good wintertime bass fishing from San Diego all the way up. But we have got to talk about the halibut bite on the Aloha Spirit because it was fantastic. What a great signal. Now the Aloha Spirit says, hey, baby, we were going to do Sundays here out of Cisco Sport Fishing. We're going Wednesday through Sunday because 18 anglers just the other day on the Aloha Spirit, 34 halibut. What a great score. They also had some calico bass mixed in with it. There's a good signal of bait everywhere, including up in that neck of the woods. And when I say bait, I am specifically referring to market squid. It is littered all over the place this year. We're seeing a lot at the islands, on the banks, in the coastal regions, and that is a magnet. That is just such an integral and important part of the food chain. And of course, as you learned in your high school biology class, it was a long time ago, the big ones will come out to eat the little ones, and that's what's going on here. Last year, perhaps the best halibut year I've ever seen in all my years here in Southern California. That's a lot of years, let me tell you. This year has already started out with a bang. The Pride has had some great fishing trips out of 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro, California, and now the Aloha Spirit, 18 guys, 34 halibut. Those kinds of numbers were unheard of before last year, and it just seems like we're off to the races early again. Aloha Spirit will be running those trips Wednesday through Sunday, and I'll tell you right now, Sean Stewart and the crew that he has assembled there on the Aloha Spirit, you're going to get treated right. Really great stuff, and so happy to see that going on. So, I mean, you got the sand bass and calico bass. You've got some pretty good sculpin fishing. By the way, I should tell you that on the Aloha Spirit, they're going to focus on the halibut, but, you know, there's a possibility of white sea bass. They might turn their attention toward calico and sand bass. They might catch some perch. Go prepared for all of that, and you're going to be in really, really good shape. I'll tell you that. Gorgeous sunrise here this morning in Surfside. It is absolutely beautiful, and a lot of activity, and those birds are so happy about this sand replenishment. I'll tell you that. Was clams. I found some big pismo clams here the other day. Very, very, very impressive stuff going on. In the surf, man, oh man, we've seen some really good surf fishing. In fact, this sand replenishment, if you get to the edge of it, you know, where you can look out there and it's very sandy right now, but I mean, there's been some excellent barred perch fishing down around Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, up here in Surfside, and we have seen some really, really excellent big, man, these birds are going nuts, aren't they? We've seen some really nice spot-fitted croaker here also recently. Really, really good stuff, and hopefully that's going to continue. Tracy Hartman, nice barred perch for her. Kayla Lou, a beautiful, beautiful spot-fitted croaker. Joe Guetta with a beautiful spot fit. In fact, Joe fought that fish for 10 minutes on 4-pound, fishing 4-pound tests. And man, what a battle that was. He says it was kind of stressful. He wasn't sure what he had, and it turned out to be that gorgeous spot fin. As we'd been mentioned to you, there's been some spot fin croaker around. They do bite this time of the year at times. Most of the time, that's going to be bait. Joe got his on a lure. Most of the time, those things bite bait. And man, that is just some great action on the surf fish right now. We're loving that. Your surf fishing headquarters, Big Fish Bait and Tackle in the beautiful city of Seal Beach, California. A stone's throw from here, or maybe a clam's throw. I'll probably find a clam quicker than a stone down here. Right down there, and man, you go down there and they've got all the bait you'll need. They've got all the tackle. I'm talking tackle from trout to the surf fishing to big game, bluefin, tuna, marlin, and anything else you'll need right down there. Big Fish Bait and Tackle. And as I say, in the wintertime, sometimes the bait bite is much better. You're going to want to switch to bait if you can't get a bite on the artificials, and they've got all the bait your little heart could possibly want down there. So some really good barred perch fishing. We're seeing some spot fin croaker. There's some yellowfin croaker. Of course, let us not overlook the possibility of halibut here in the surf. This condition here today is absolutely perfect for throwing a lucky crab, for throwing a chrome crocodile. It's perfect. By the way, there's some outstanding, big, beautiful 3-pound barred perch going on south of the border. I'm going to try to get down there very, very soon and videotape one of those trips for you, one of those adventures for you, and then try to put together a Baja trip. So many of you are asking me to do it, and I got to get off my lazy butt and do that, put together a trip, and we'll all go down there, and we will have some fun. I'll tell you that right now. So that is really good stuff. Brian Holmes, he didn't go fishing, but he got the family out. And that looks like fun to me. Brian, glad you had so much fun. Jeremy Fontenot, he took his son bass fishing in San Diego in a lake. And let me tell you, he was a little bummed he didn't get one, but he was thrilled to death. His son got a nice bass. So that is great stuff there for sure. Also, the lobster hoop netting has been outstanding in Southern California. We've been telling you, you know, Catalina's the hotspot, but the local hoop netting here recently has been great. Gale Force with limits of lobster. That is 7 lobster per person. And those things go for about $50 a pound. It may even be more than that right now. $50 a pound. You end up with 10 pounds of that. I don't have to tell you, you got $500 worth of lobster. And man, it was great on the Gale Force limits for, and the Spitfire out of Marina Del Rey Sport Fishing, they have also limited out on lobster for the last couple nights, and there's many other opportunities. Dana Wharf, San Diego, a lot of people are hoop netting for lobster with those Promar Ahi hoop nets. Those are the very, very best. I'll guarantee you that. So, you know, it's weird, man. What was it in Iowa? Was it like 21 degrees below zero? So you're not going to catch me complaining about this 48-degree weather here on the beach. It's gorgeous, and that sunrise is absolutely beautiful. All that activity going on behind me. Coming up next, don't go anywhere. Whatever you do, the live transmission we had yesterday from the Red Rooster 3, you'll enjoy Andy. He's a great guy. He's got some great Riviera cruises for you. If you're a whale watcher or a bird watcher, or you want to get out and do a hike in Mexico, you want to meet some lovely people, check this out, and he'll also get into the fishing with you. You're not going to want to miss that great report coming up next. Hey, it's always great to see you. It's always great to spend time with you. And a night's sleep has truly made a difference in my life. Have a great one. I'll see you at the Bard Hall show January the 21st. Don't forget that. Shant, whatever you do, Shant Sarkisian, we are going to meet him and a whole bunch of great people over at La Fogata in Sherman Oaks, California this coming Sunday, 1 to 3 in the afternoon. Delicious Mexican cuisine. I'm sure they'll have the games going. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't know if they'll have the games going, but we'll be there 1 to 3 in the afternoon. Come on over. We can BS about fishing or anything else you'd like to talk about, as well as I will have our charter list for 2024. You're going to want to make one of those trips. All right, have a great day. It's a gorgeous, beautiful morning here in SoCal. And as always, I hope to see you really, really soon.
Hey you, do you want to make money online but you don't know where to start? Well, you can actually make a full-time living with this new method of dropshipping. And no, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. But with
On the Red Rooster 3, it is so good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Oh, we're doing good. We're just coming up from a long-range fishing trip. We were down at the Hurricane Bank, and it's an international voyage, so we made a couple of stops, which kind of
On the Red Rooster 3, it is so good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Oh, we're doing good. We're just coming up from a long-range fishing trip. We were down at the Hurricane Bank, and it's an international voyage, so we made a couple of stops, which kind of got me on the Riviera cruise program here. We're going to have some of our whale trips coming up, but we actually went into um, San Carlos in Magdalena Bay, where we do these trips out of, and we do them in February. But we ended up dropping we picked up our passengers for this fishing trip in San Carlos, and then we went out fishing for 9 days, and then we came back and we dropped them back off in San Carlos. And while we were there, I was like, hey, by the way, we're going to be here in a month, and we've got a few spots opened on our Riviera cruise trips. So I thought I'd give you a call, and we'd put some information out there for somebody that might want to do a nice short vacation with some spectacular scenes in it and some interaction with wildlife down in Magdalena Bay, San Carlos, Portachale, Soledad, up towards all of Magdalena Bay. Magdalena Bay is a huge bay, and we do these 4-day trips down there in February. The first trip is the 15th to the 19th, and then the second trip is the 20th to the 24th, I believe. And so what it is it's basically a cruise, but we incorporate these events. Whale watching is a big one, and I charter out these pongas, and they come and pick up people up off the mothership. The Red Rooster is a 105-foot long range sport fishing vessel. We've got 16 rooms, and it spreads everybody out pretty nicely. But what they do is they come, and the Red Rooster becomes a mothership in Magdalena Bay, and they'll come and charter out these pongas and take you out whale watching. But this isn't just your regular whale watching. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. There's an area called Portachale, which is on the very south end of Magdalena Bay, and until you see it, it's kind of hard to fathom it. But these uh, calf cows, the mothers being the cows, the calves being the babies, they come in annually, usually around the beginning of February, and then they'll last till probably the middle of March or beginning of March. But the hot time is definitely the beginning of February to the end of February. on these whales. But it's one of the most spectacular things. What's interesting, and I think makes this dynamic, is that when you're in the water in the south end of this bay, it's only about 20 feet deep. So these whales there's no deep diving. They're always up and they're always visible. And they're so friendly. They come up underneath the ponga. They'll brush and rub on the ponga. Sometimes you have 12 whales that are around you. And last year, my wife came out and we had some interaction with these things that you wouldn't even believe. I mean, it was unbelievable where they came up and you would touch them. And one of them came up and kind of spy hopped him. She was able to put her arms around the whale and give
Oh
the
my
kiss,
God.
do the kiss. And somebody got a picture of it on one of
Oh,
the other pongas, and we put it on our Christmas card. Her
no,
kissing
for
a whale.
sure. Wow.
So
That's
that was
unbelievable.
that was just one of the many events, but that's definitely a highlight. And you're actually on the boat for 3 full days, and we'll do a day of whaling, which really is about 3 hours. I like to try and do the activities in the morning, and then we'll come back to the big boat, the Red Rooster 3, for lunch, and then we'll make a move, which would be a cruise. We'll make a move to the next destination, which could be Puerto Magdalena. And Puerto Magdalena is another nice spot where we'll go into this little cove. There's a small town, and there's a nice hike that we do there. And last year we were doing the hike over to Santa Maria Bay, and it was a long hike. And I found a different hike this last year that we did it, where we went up over the ridge, and it drops you right onto the Pacific Ocean, and it's really a spectacular hike. And it was more of a hike than walking down a road. It was definitely more spectacular, but the final outcome is you end up at a little restaurant in Puerto Magdalena for all the fresh shellfish, fresh seafood, underneath a palapa covered restaurant. I mean, it's about as cultural as you could possibly get down in Mexico. So you pop right into old Mexico, which is just spectacular, man. And the people are super friendly, and it just gives you this warm feeling.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, that warm old Mexico feeling. It is so far from going to Cabo San Lucas. I can't even begin to tell you, man. It is just such a nice, slow, easy-paced vacation. And the beauty of it is that you're on this extremely secure and immaculate and comfortable vessel, this mothership. And if you want privacy or you want to take a nap, you just go into your own room. You go downstairs, you go into your nice own room, and they're all air conditioned beautifully, and the dining on the boat is spectacular.
Yes, I was going to say, don't leave out the culinary masterpieces.
Oh, I mean, just each meal is just divine, and there's plenty of room on the boat, and there's the climate right now down there. The other day we were down there, the water was 72 degrees right now.
Wow.
The air temp was about 74.
Perfect.
Sweatshirt weather in the afternoon, evening, but whatever. That's what you're looking for. But if I think we got a few spots on the first trip and just a couple of spots on the second trip left. But if somebody's in the mood to go on a spur of the moment vacation, and it's quick, we end up there in Lopez Mateo, which is the very north end of Magdalena Bay. So you actually get to circumnavigate the entire bay, which is pretty spectacular. We'll do a run from Puerto Magdalena up through the mangroves, and mangroves they're just basically small canals in a lagoon. But you take this big boat up through these mangroves, and you're going through areas where you don't see, or you have never seen people there, period. I mean, it's just undeveloped, unscathed. It's just spectacular area. You get up through there, and sometimes it's narrow. This big boat goes right through these areas where sometimes there's only 15 or 18 feet of clearance on either side of the boat. It's crazy. But it's well navigated. So I mean, it's a little bit of a nail biter at times. You're like, oh boy, it looks like it's getting shallow. But we've done it multiple times. but it makes it such a spectacular ride going up there, and the wildlife is incredible going up there. There's not as much whale in there, but there's another area up at Lopez Mateo on the north end at Soledad where it's similar whale excursions like they do down on the south end. And last year we threw in an extra thing. I didn't know much about it. And we went up to Lopez Mateo, and the guy goes, "Hey, do you want to come check out the oyster farm?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." So we got into a couple of these pongas, and they took us up one of these mangroves that went way up to the northeast, like way up into these mangroves, and it got really shallow to the point where the guy had to walk us in quite a ways. We got up there, and he walked out and got a big giant basket of these oysters from his farm, and then dragged them up the beach, folded out a card table, got everything ready to shuck these oysters, chopped up jalapenos, chopped up everything, all the salsas, and we sat there and we had, I think I got 250 oysters for about $40.
Oh my God.
And I had brought an ice and I had brought beer from the boat, from the big boat, from the mothership. So, because I knew this was going to be an event, and we just sat there for a couple of hours and had oysters and beer and salsas and all this local culture that came out of this place, and it was just incredible. So I'm excited to go back up and do that, to check out this oyster farm again.
Oh, heck yeah.
Because
Andy,
it was.
it kind of reminds me of like when I was a kid, I loved that dumb Jungle Cruise at Disneyland. But this is like the Jungle Cruise, but it's all real. It's, you know what I mean? It's not fake. And it's like, it just seems like so many memories get created from this. And I'm sure I'm not a bird watcher, but there's a lot of bird watchers out there. That's got to be a thing on these trips also. Am I right?
Oh, the birds are spectacular, man. It's amazing. You know, there's the population of these osprey up there it's unbelievable, you know, and they've done a lot to comfort the osprey. They build these platforms, and then they'll come and nest on them. So that's spectacular. And I can't even like get into how much bird life there is, because there is so much and it is so spectacular. But I have a soft spot for these osprey, because there's just such a dynamic bird, you know.
They are.
Some of the, you know, they'll swoop down and you'll see them make a kill, and then they'll come back up to their nest, and you know, it's a hawk. It's like watching a predator, a hawk. So I mean, it's pretty cool, you know. There were really a lot of good bird watching. But so, you know, last year we incorporated doing a town walk too, where we went up into Lopez Mateo and skiffed in. And they got a big whale facility there where they'll take people out there on pongas, and they got a nice dock there with a nice kind of a marina they built there. They put quite a bit of money into that. Kind of a little tourism depot that they did there. But then you go into the town, and it's the same old cobblestone road, dirt town, cobblestone streets down the main part with shops. And I mean, it's just more of this old Mexico culture between that and
which I love.
And San Carlos is the same way, you know. San Carlos is cobblestone streets, old culture, you know, where you just want to go into the market and kind of poke through and check out some salsas and maybe get a little pound of cheese or something and get some tortillas, you know, just for the ride back or the walk back or whatever. So, I mean, it's really a nice, you know, this whole thing too, you get in, you're actually on the boat. Let's see, like for instance, the trips are scheduled the 15th to the 19th. So you would fly in, and there's a lot of flights right now.
You flying to Laredo? Is that where you're flying?
Yeah, we're going to pick up either spot, Laredo or La Paz, because some people may already have flights. So La Paz is about 2.5 hours. Laredo shuttle is about an hour and a half, but I'm going to orchestrate that. When or if you sign up, I get, there went my door. I get, I'll just get your itinerary, and then I'll make sure that there's a shuttle there to come get you, either Mario. Hold on just a second.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, everybody, you're listening to Andy Cates live on the Red Rooster 3. Andy's door just blew open or something, so he's taking care of that. And here he comes back to us right now. There's Andy.
Hey, there you are. Yeah, right now we're taking the boat up, and we just went by Turtle Bay, and we are just coming up to Cedrus Island. Uh-oh.
Well, I love this, man. Live on the Red Rooster 3, everybody. You're watching it. Andy's obviously got something he's dealing with right now. Coming up on Cedros Island. Just went by Turtle Bay. And he has some remarkable trips down in Baja that he is talking about with you all. And hopefully he'll be able to resume here in a second. I'm not sure what's up, but I'm sure it's nothing.
Okay, we're
too
fine.
great.
That
Hey,
was
good.
our integrated fire alarm on the boat. And
Hey, Andy, I love this live stuff, man. It's exciting.
There's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
That was our new integrated throughout the boat fire alarm system, and the guys are cooking something downstairs, and there you have it. So
That's funny.
yeah, well, like with anything, you have false alarms, but there you go. So
you're going by Cedros right now.
Yeah, I'm coming up to Point Eugenia and Natividad Island, and I'm going to go up the lee of Cedrus this afternoon, and we're going to try and get home tomorrow night.
Very good.
Yeah, and then we'll unload our fish, our catch on Wednesday, and then we leave on another trip on Thursday, a 15-day trip, another fishing trip. And then when we get back from our fishing trip, then that's when we'll reconfigure the boat. We'll pull a lot of the fishing stuff off the boat, and then we put on the cocktail tables and get things reconfigured in the galley for the Riviera cruises. You know, there's another thing too that we've kind of been a big welcome down here. I have one, we employ a lot of the locals in Magdalena Bay for these Riviera trips.
Yeah.
And it's really gone a long way. And I keep in touch with these people all year long. They can't wait for us to come back. You know, hey, we like the people, we love the boat. So we've got a nice rapport that we've started down there. But those people that came out last year and the year before will recognize that I had a woman on board named Ellie, and she's a certified masseuse. And she comes on, and then we build a massage tent on the back.
Hey, sign me up, Andy. I'm ready. I'm in.
And she does massages throughout the afternoon, and then she'll also come out, and then we have cocktails, and we'll do a couple of hours of cocktailing, and she'll make up drinks, and it's really cute because of the communication breakdown. You know,
sure.
She's trying to teach them Spanish, and they're trying to teach her English, and she's just adorable, and she really works hard. But what another nice thing is, she'll come down in the morning when people are out on their excursions and remake the beds and vacuum and kind of pick up the rooms, so when you come back, everything's all made up again. And it's just the little things like that. You come back and you're like, wow, everything's nice again, so here we go. And then you start another day. So it's the little things, and we've paid a lot of attention to that, so that it is even more comfortable than some of our normal fishing trips, which are a little more rugged. But this is definitely designed as, and have had most attendance with couples. This is a husband-wife thing. I do have a couple kids that come out with their folks. I think a grandfather, a daughter, and two grandchildren come out, and I believe they're coming out again this year. But it is definitely a couples type thing. You know, I've had a couple of people that want to do a little bit of mangrove charter fishing down in Magdalena Bay, and they've had some okay results. I don't necessarily, because of the caliber that we provide on the Red Rooster on our fishing trips, it's pretty hard to compete with that in a ponga, in a mangrove, in Mag Bay. So it's hard for me to say, oh yeah, that's what you want to do. With the other events, with the whaling and the hiking and the oyster farm and the different lunches and the cruises, there's so much other activity to do. I'm afraid that you would miss out on good stuff by doing that. But although, you know, even last year guys still did it, and they went out and did some bay fishing, and they had a good time. But some people get it confused. You know, is this a fishing trip? Because we're a fishing boat. And this is not. I mean, this is a cruise that we're doing. Hence the name Riviera Cruise. There you
Right.
have it.
Right.
So I've got the first trip in February leaves San Carlos, and San Carlos, for people that aren't familiar with, is just a port, and it's a dock. So you leave, the cab comes up, the shuttles come up, drop you off about 25 feet from the boat, and you unload your luggage and you get on the boat. Very
Beautiful.
convenient, very nice.
Yeah.
Same thing with unloading. We then unload on the 19th, and then the shuttles come right there, pick up your stuff, pick you up, and then take you back to your destination, whether it be Loretto or whether it be La Paz. And then we leave again on the 20th, and then get back on the 24th from that trip. And then I got to get back home because we've got a 16-day fly home fishing trip to the Hurricane Bank on the 29th. So we've kind of crammed some stuff in there, but
It sounds like you'd be busy.
these trips are so spectacular, and they're one of my favorite trips. Absolutely, And my wife is actually coming down, and she's going to do both of them.
I don't
I mean,
blame her, man. After
and
getting a kiss from a gray whale.
it's really something. And a lot of the clients now, this has gotten pretty popular within our hometown of Point Loma. So we're going to have there'll be quite a few people from Point Loma and San Diego, but Point Loma that have gotten interest in this just from word of mouth, from my wife talking about it and me
Yeah,
talking about
sure.
it. Last year we had a nice group from Point Loma as well, and there were a lot of friends of mine that were from the Marlin Club and the Southwestern Yacht Club and San Diego Yacht Club. So we're excited to get it out again this year and just keep building on it and giving people an opportunity to come down here in a real, basically a short amount of time, and 4 days of vacation, 4 or 5 days of vacation, but absorbs so much. You get
Yes.
so much out of it. We are busy. I mean, you're busy going here, going there, but you are guaranteed that afternoon, 1 o'clock, 2, 3, nap time, massage time, cocktail time, and then dinner time. Every night will be anchored up somewhere because it's not real safe to drive around at night in there because of the whales. There's so many whales that
That's
you don't want to
unbelievable.
endanger them, So
Yeah.
you park the boat in the evening, set up somewhere nicely for a sunset, and then you enjoy dinner and cocktails and start it up the next morning.
So when it's dark at night and you're sitting on deck, do you hear the whales blowing at night? Do you
You
hear the
do.
sound? That's
You
got to be
do.
bitching.
The whales come by and blow, and sometimes the porpoise come by and blow. I mean, it is pretty spectacular. We had one night where they hung around for about 4.5 hours, and there was about 6 of them that were blowing and messing around and scratching on the boat. I mean, it was pretty spectacular. It was a good.
Andy, from a guy who spent several years living in Latin America and Mexico, I've spent time in Costa Rica and several other areas. You can't underestimate what you talked about, the culture of a small town, old Mexico feel. I mean, if people have been to Cabo, there's they're not feeling what they're going to feel on this trip. I've felt it. I love it. It's special. It's a great part of this trip.
It's spectacular. It
Oh, another fire! Tell those
No,
guys.
I just got to turn a little bit, but
Tell those guys to knock off the cheeseburgers down there.
so yeah, I mean what it is it's a way for you to use this beautiful long range sport fishing boat as a tool to get you into areas that very few people get to go. Very
Absolutely.
few people, and you go for hikes and go through areas and waters and through mangroves that very few people have ever had a chance to do. And it is truly spectacular, man. It really is. And not to mention that, I mean, just the scene around you. I mean, you wake up in the morning, coffee's made, breakfast is going, and you walk outside and it's a comfortable, cool morning. You're having coffee, and here comes this sunrise, man. And it's just a lagoon sunrise is just like what they sing about in all those songs, you know, a
Yeah.
lagoon sunrise. It's absolutely spectacular. And so is a lagoon sunset, you know. I mean, it's just there's 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 moments during these trips where you they're so memorable you will not forget. You don't need to take pictures. I mean, people do full speed, but they're so memorable. It'll just be engraved in your mind. Some of these events and some of these scenes that you stumble across. You know, while you're doing this journey, you're covering so much land, or excuse me, so much water in this lagoon, and there's so many different little regions that you're going through, and so much different stuff to look at, and so many things that just come up out of nowhere. You know, you're like, oh wow, look at the whales there, look at the porpoise here, look at the birds here. I mean, it's really sensational, man. It's really a fun thing to do. I'm really looking forward to it. I look forward to it every year, and I look forward to how fulfilled and how relaxed and how comfortable that the people are when they get off the boat. They really enjoy it. It's spectacular.
That sounds fantastic. Now, and I also want to follow up with you on, a lot of people want to know, we have quite a few people watching right now, and they want to know how your long range trip down to Hurricane went. Before we talk about that, how can we get on these very special Riviera cruises?
Okay, so Maria will be in the office, and you do have to contact her. And it works out great because she can kind of walk you through some of the other things. There's, you know, flights and what will be the best bet for you where you're flying from. Um, but it's the Red Rooster 3 office, and the phone number is 619-224-3857. So give her a call. She gets to the office at 8 o'clock in the morning, and she's there till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's your best is to call her and see what we have available, see what rooms we have available, and see if it'll match up for you and whoever you're going to go with, or solo. But like I said, a lot of these are couples trips. They really are. Um, but we have had some singles for sure. But anyway, our trip down to the Hurricane Bank was great, man. We saw pretty good tuna fishing, actually very good tuna fishing. There wasn't a lot of big tuna. What I mean by that is probably the biggest fish that we caught were about 180 pounds, which is pretty big tuna. But there hasn't been a big run on the big, you know, 250 and 300-pound tuna just yet. But we're hoping for that as the season continues. But just the action on this stock grade fish being 70 to 90 pounds, you know, were pretty much readily available type
Wow.
fishing. Boiling up in the corner, that type of thing. Cast a bait out, you're on. Kite going off, boom, boom, full rack. You know, everybody's scrambling. The excitement on the deck is unbelievable. With some picture fish in there, you know, where you get a nice 150 pounder. It's like, hey, go get the camera. I'm
Yeah.
gonna take a nice picture of this fish because this was a battle. We had a pretty good couple of days on wahoo fishing, which was nice, you know, put in a little mix. Some of the wahoo were up to about 40 pounds. It's not like the wahoo fishing that you see on the ridge where you get those bigger ones, but it's nice fishing, you know, for sure. We had a pretty good little run on those, and then we finished up back down there on that potato bank where these Dorado had been.
I saw that. Big
And
Dorado, man.
what a great finisher, man. I mean, we pulled in there and made a couple of long drifts, and that Dorado's all 25 to 45 pounds, and made a couple of long drifts. Everybody caught what they wanted to catch, and then we drove up to San Carlos, and everybody got on an airplane the next day and flew home.
Wow.
Wasn't quite that easy, but travel's tough right now, man.
Yeah, I
Travel
know.
is tough. The plane, you know how it is. You get on a plane and you've got your fingers crossed, and then oh, delayed again. You're like, oh, it's just how it is right now. I tell people that come down and do the traveling thing, you know, the days of traveling somewhere and getting there and expecting to do an activity and start your vacation. A travel day is a day. It's a whole
Yeah,
day
right.
anymore. Just sign
Yeah.
it off as a day of travel, man, and then start your trip the very next day. That's just how you do it. Or you'll
How's
have
your
an anxiety attack.
How's your weather coming up the peninsula?
So far, it's been pretty nice. We had a little bit of bump yesterday, but right now obviously in this little triangle of islands, it's nice. But once we get up here to this afternoon, this evening, it looks like about, 14, 15 knots of wind. But that's that north end of Cedrus, where people have paid the piper so many times, in that big bay. That bay can produce a lot of wind. And not just wind, it just turns into a washing machine in there because you're going into a big bay. But it looks like we might be okay. We're going to go unscathed. And being okay means we're just not going to be uncomfortable.
Right.
And never do we really put people in a position where it's hazardous. Never. Oh, and that's the other thing. Some people ask me about this Mag Bay thing. Oh, my wife or myself. I get seasick. I don't know. Those trips, the Riviera cruises, the boat does not move at all. Because you're in a bay. There's no swell. There's no chop. There's nothing. So if that might be like, oh God, I don't know, man, 3 days on a boat, I might get sick. You won't. It's absolutely flat calm. Absolutely flat calm, beautiful. So I would like to say that we're going to experience that tonight on the way up, but probably not.
Well, Andy, I got to tell you, this has been a delightful visit from you live on the Red Rooster 3 and those Riviera cruises. Man, someday I'm going to have to find time and do one because it just sounds like memories for a lifetime. It sounds so great, man.
It is, man. I'm glad you see it that way because it is, and it's shared. That impression is shared by many people that have already done these. It's pretty spectacular.
One more time again, and nice and slow with that phone number. If somebody wants to join you on one of those cruises, how do they do it? They call Maria, right?
Call Maria at the Red Rooster 3 office, and that's in San Diego. And the phone number is area code 619-224-3857. And
Perfect.
the office is open from 8 a.m. in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So anytime in those hours is a go.
And I think your website is redrooster3.com, right?
Yes, it is.
Hey, I know that better than you.
Well, there you go. I had to look.
I do my research, man.
Yeah, I had to look and go. So yeah, the trips are posted on that. But in order to physically sign up, call Maria. And then you'll have someone to talk to, and it'll be a nice introduction. She'll be able to explain a little bit more as well. So it'll be nice for you. It'll make you feel comfortable.
All right. Nice spending a half hour with you. Safe travels up to San Diego, Andy. And thanks so much for spending time with us. Hope to see you soon in person, my friend.
All right. Sounds great. Great to be here. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
Take care, Andy.
Can't thank you enough for being here, my friend. And the show is on the horizon. First of all, thanks for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I love this room. Boy, I love the mounts.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, very cool, yeah.
So the show, late January. I can't wait. Bart Hall show's coming up.
Yeah, it's a new time for us, new date. But so far, all the exhibitors seem to like it quite a bit. So January 25th to the 28th, and we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I bet, man. And it's going to be the same Bart Hall show that I always remember with so many seminars, so much to do. It's like when you're a good teacher, you're an entertainer, and you're also teaching at the same time. And that's the Bart Hall show.
Well, we have a really good seminar coming up this year that we've never done before in our 75 years. On Saturday, Pat McDonald has put together a symposium of women anglers and women anglers in the fishing business. So it's going to be really great, and we're going to have a really good lineup of women who work in the industry and women who just like to fish.
We've got some great lady anglers here tonight.
I can see that.
Yeah. Bart, Merry Christmas. Thanks for you and Jenny being here.
Thank you, Phil. Merry Christmas to you too.
Thank you.